Risk of Rain 2 adds 10 core levels that get generated into any given run, 11 if you count Commencement, the final level. The game can infinitely be looped for as long as the player wants, but these loops are split into 5 separate stages. Each stage has a select few levels that can be spawned on that stage. For example, the Abandoned Aqueduct can only spawn at stage 2 of a loop. The game will randomly pick from one of these tile sets for every stage up until stage 5. After stage 5, it loops back around to the first set of levels to choose from. This, of course, means that part of the randomness of a run is which map the game chooses for you at any given stage. Not only are you relying on the items you randomly get, but also which of the maps that you're randomly sent to. In other roguelikes, this randomness is much more noticeable. Every single room being randomly placed introduces a lot more variability than just every stage being random in Risk of Rain. But it doesn't mean that it's insignificant, because if you've played Risk of Rain 2 for any period of time, you will have very quickly noticed that some maps are much more desirable than others on any given stage. Some of the variability is not so bad. Like, sure, I would much prefer the Abandoned Aqueduct on my second stage, for a variety of different reasons. But do I think that Wetland Aspect, the alternative, is a bad map? Not really. It's got a lot of easy to reach vantage points for you to see a large portion of the map, which can cut down searching for chests and teleporters quite a lot. But there are 2 maps that stand out to me as being pretty bad. That would be Scorched Acres and Sundered Grove. I struggled to settle on picking just one map to talk about for this, because I think the majority of the maps in the game are super good. Only these 2 stand out as an exception. So why pick one if I can pick both? So let's start off with what is, in my opinion, the worst of the 2. Scorched Acres. The map's visual design is top notch, but to actually play it can be quite frustrating for a few reasons. Reason number 1 is visibility. Because the map is multi-leveled and because it's quite big, it means that if you're on this half of the level, you can't see anything on the other half of the map. So if you're looking for where to go next to find items or find the teleporter, you basically can't see anything, and have to guess where the best place to go next is. And this wouldn't be such a big deal in most games, but Risk of Rain 2 has a difficulty that scales based on time. The longer the run, the harder the run becomes. So having to run around with your thumb up your arse, guessing where stuff might be because the map has terrible visibility, can literally be the difference between an incredible run and dying in 5 minutes time. But funnily enough, if you're on this half of the map, you can see a ton of the other side, so the randomness of where you spawn in can have a massive impact on how easy it will be to find stuff. But it's weird, because despite being able to see a ton from up here, you also simultaneously somehow see absolutely nothing at all, because the map has so many overhangs and ramps that cover a ton of potential spawn locations for the items and teleporters. So despite being able to see most of the map from this vantage point, you'll still have a ton of information hidden from you because of the way the map's designed. Compare this to a map like Titanic Plains. If I want a good vantage point, all I have to do is walk up a bit of a hill and look around from up here. From this point, most of the map is visible and can cut down my time to loot the map drastically. The difficulty isn't rampantly scaling while I run around aimlessly, because I have a much better time of figuring out where the best place to go next is. But the visibility is only one of 2 reasons that I think Scorched Acres isn't a very good map. Reason number 2 is traversal.
But isn't the traversal just the same on every map? Like, you just run around...
Wait, let me explain real quick, listen. It's stage 3. I'm down here on Scorched Acres. The teleporter is up there. It's about 10 meters away. But despite how close to the teleporter I am, getting to that teleporter will still take me a very long time. I have to run all this way around this route just to get to the teleporter that was momentarily 10 meters away from me. And this issue exists literally everywhere on this map. There's a bumper that takes you back and forth from these 2 platforms, but that's it. A lot of the maps in this game have a similar issue, but they only have it in 1 or 2 specific spots in the map, whereas Scorched Acres has it literally everywhere.
But what if you have a bunch of Htwo feathers?
No, listen, who asked you anyway? It's my video. If you get Scorched Acres on your 13th stage, then of course you will have the mobility to just yeet across this gap, no problem. That's kind of not the point. When you've already gathered a ton of items, the stage you are given is literally irrelevant. The stage RNG is only significant at the beginning of a run when you have no mobility items whatsoever, because that's when the stage RNG is going to slow your run down and force you to spend longer getting items. Later on in the game, this becomes completely redundant. So yes, Scorched Acres doesn't have these problems later in a run when you've got 19 Htwo feathers, and it doesn't matter when you play a certain character that has mobility options to cross the gap. But if that's not you, this stage will randomly extend your run for an extra 5 minutes minimum, and will make that stage 4 boss fight a whole lot harder for no real reason. Now, remember when I said that Sundered Grove has a lot of the same issues as Scorched Acres? Well, let's talk about that, shall we? If I spawn down here, I have basically zero visibility of the entire map, and the only real vantage points are 1.5 miles away on the other side of the universe. Even if I do happen to spawn on this vantage point up here, there's a ton of things obscuring my vision of the other side of the map drastically. And there's also an entire underground section that is completely invisible from up above, so you have to manually go and check it. If there are items on this central tree, for whatever reason, I can't jump up onto these routes, so I have to walk around to get onto them and climb up. There's traversal issues like this literally everywhere, there's too many to list. Now, this map isn't as bad as Scorched Acres, in my opinion. Not even close, and it helps that Sundered Grove spawns a little bit later in the game, but it certainly can be frustrating for certain characters trying to navigate this map.
But is it really a problem if the map is designed like this? What if that's just what the devs want the game to be like, trying to put emphasis on exploration?
Wait, no, shut up. That's actually quite a good point, isn't it? Well, to be fair, I did tell that guy exactly what to say, so I guess it's obviously gonna be. You're right, it's entirely possible that the devs did all of this on purpose. It's entirely possible that they want you to have low visibility to force you to explore for yourself. Or maybe they want you to have to figure out efficient ways to navigate the stages that aren't so obvious at a first glance. And you know, if they did want to push the game in that direction, I would honestly have no problem with it. But the problem with this logic is that most of the other maps don't really have this same thing going on. Or if they do, it's to a much lesser degree. Sure, you can point to 1 or 2 spots on some other maps where traversal is a bit awkward, or where visibility is a bit low, but it's nothing even close to these 2 maps in particular. Maybe Wetland Aspects fits the bill, but I would argue that traversal and visibility on that map is much better than these 2 examples. If every map was like these, I don't think I would have much of a problem with it, because the difficulty scaling and the character design could be balanced around it. But as it stands right now, these 2 maps are the exception, not the rule. If the devs wanted to make every map like this, then I would trust their decision to do so, but at the moment, they stick out like a sore thumb as being designed in a much more obtuse and limiting way than every other map. Again, these maps are not abysmal by any means, but to me, they seem so different from every other map in a way that makes the game slow way down. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are going to disagree with my points in this video, and I'm honestly excited to see it because, hey, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm completely missing something. But right now, I think these maps stand out from the crowd in Risk of Rain 2 for all of the wrong reasons. Thanks for watching.